Hi, this is Dr. Bogner from Bogner Health and Autism is Biomedical. Today I have with me Henry. And Henry, you are the dad of Theo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Good, good. I wish I had your weather. I know you're on the West Coast. Um, I'm in Michigan, but yeah, I wanted to ask you just a couple questions about Theo. And I know he's 8 now, right?
Correct. Yeah, he's 8 years old. Yeah.
He's 8. I met you first last year in April when I looked back, and I just wanted to have you quickly tell us the story. What happened to Theo? Who did you seek help with? What brought you to me, and then ultimately what brought you to Alex, and kind of the effects of all of that, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll start quickly from the beginning. So Theo, when he was born, he met all of his developmental milestones. From all observations, he was, a neurotypical child. And then around about 3 years ago, at the age of 5, he got a couple head colds. And at the time, we didn't think too much of it. We didn't take him to the doctor or anything. His school required COVID tests at the time. Those were all negative. And then after his head colds, we started to notice that Theo kind of stopped talking as much. He started to distance himself more. And at the time, I thought, oh, it's just a little phase, it's behavioral. Fast forward 2 months, Theo became a completely different child. He became almost mute. His short-term memory became non-existent. He stopped interacting with other playmates in school. I drop him off and see him just kind of pacing around in circles in the playground. Um, and then that was kind of all the alarm bells went off, and we took him to see neurologists. We took him at the time we were living in Central Coast, California. We took him to Children's Hospital Los Angeles. They ran the whole workup for like classical autoimmune encephalitis. Everything came out negative. They said, maybe it's this PANS things. We don't do that here. Try UCLA. So he went to UCLA, and if you Google kind of the PANS standard protocol, it's IVIG, antibiotics, it's prednisone, um, and we gave that a go. We he did about 6 IVIGs, which are very expensive. I was fortunate that my insurance helped pay for them, but we saw little gains from that. We did prednisone, nothing. We did several rounds of antibiotics, maybe some little bit of gains here and there, but overall, he would tend to always slide back. So that was in 2022. We kind of went the mainstream allopathic medical route.
What did they tell you at that point when you didn't see that it helped your son, that it helped Theo? What did they tell you would be the next steps?
Really, there wasn't a whole lot of options. It was, we could try more IVIGs. That was the main one. He already had 6. And so, okay, we'll just continue this. And it's quite an invasive procedure. He's hooked up to an IV for 8 hours a day. And, in a PANS state with multiple escalations a day, it definitely raises the complexity of that.
8 hours a day.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
unbelievable. I mean,
for 40, it was once a month, and yeah, it was 2 days. Uh, yeah, 8 hours each day. So overnight they would leave the IV in him. So yeah, it was a hassle for sure. And basically the recommendation was, let's continue IVIG. Maybe we can try more experiments with prednisone pulses. Um, but really, we were kind of just left without much after that. And so in 23, we kind of started looking for, in the alternative medical world. The big thing was it was speculated that we're not quite sure of the root cause of all this, but we believe that so his mother moved into an apartment that was previously in a mudslide, and we did some mold reports there, and It came back really high on all the different types of mycotoxins, as well as like plumbing issues. The toilet wasn't properly sealed, so we believe, you know, he picked up a bunch of critters from living in that environment. Possibly, yeah, that's what.
Also some metals. I remember you did his hair analysis. He had some
Yeah,
quite some metals elevated. I think silver was the highest, but
a little bit. Yeah, yeah. So then we did the shoemaker protocol. Um, And unfortunately, we didn't see any improvements on that. I believe for pediatric cases, it's mostly you take cholestyramine, which is like a prescription binder, and remove from the source. So we tried that, not much. We also tried LDI, low dose immunotherapy. We didn't try it for very long, but at least the initial doses we tried, we didn't see a whole lot. And then we saw a naturopathic doctor who specialized in CIRS, which is related to mold mycotoxin and other bacterial exposures, and autism. And we did an herbal protocol for about a year. And we did notice some slight improvement, but he began to stall in the improvements. He still had multiple escalations a day. Um, and the protocol was quite expensive. For all the herbals, it could be like $1,000 a month or more. Um, and so that's when I heard about you and Alex's work through a Better Health Guy podcast with Scott. That's just been an amazing resource. So I recommend parents, yeah, check that podcast out.
he was
Yes,
amazing. Yeah, great
yeah.
person, Scott Ferguson. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of great folks on there. That's how I heard about you guys as I listened to your podcast. And I reached out to you, you're right, sometime last year. And we had a consult, and then you recommended reach out to Alex. And I believe Theo got started on the first round around mid or end September of 24. And we started to notice differences, improvements probably within a month, 3 weeks to a month. And by that, I mean is that his escalations, and by escalations, just screaming tantrum fits multiple times a day, probably improved by 50 to 70%. So increased dramatically. His verbal skills and his interest in wanting to communicate also greatly improved because before just to get, one word answers from him, and he just didn't show, the cognition wasn't there or the interest. I started to see a sense of humor started to come back to him. Just the old Theo, his personality started to shine through again. And I remember that Halloween, I was nervous because the previous Halloween, we just couldn't do it. He couldn't put on his costume. He was just screaming.
Oh
But
man.
that Halloween, he went trick-or-treating, and that was about a month into round one. And so that was really incredible to see. And then we did round two, and Theo went and visited his family over the winter break. And a lot of extended family, only see him every 90 days or so, and they said like, "Wow, it's a new kid." And so currently we're on round three with Alex. We're about halfway through the protocol. Um, what else can I say? His working memories greatly improved. I taught him how to bike, which before was just no way.
That's a,
Swimming. He's taking swim lessons. Um, and so yeah, overall across the board, just big improvements.
well,
Yeah.
that's amazing to hear. And it's only the third cycle, and I know we have a lot more to discuss. Um, I know you had some questions that we're gonna take off the air here, but in general, how difficult was it for you? And I know Grandpa Peter is helping out a lot as well. How difficult was it for you guys to go through these protocols? Because I know each one is what, 6 weeks. Uh, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, compared probably to the IVIG, it's a
Yeah,
walk in the park. But
compared to the IVIG, yes, much easier. The lucky thing with Theo is he's become a very good pill taker.
oh wow,
And so, and also I recommend to parents, might seem obvious but it took me a while to log on to this, is I bought on Amazon just the weekly pill set. So, every
right,
Sunday I just kind of prep it all out for the week. All of the powders, for example, I have them in a counter space or cabinet space lined up. So the very important thing is if you're going to do these protocols, you have to be disciplined, but just have the setup where it's easy to do. Um, and it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes a week just to set everything up. Um, and yeah, I just have to be diligent, but like the pill organizer, having things laid out nicely. Yeah, I just want to make, your life easier because you're gonna have to, do it 2 or 3 times a day. So yeah, but
follow it
overall,
up.
pretty, yeah, straightforward.
I think it's an excellent recommendation, and to stay organized and to be persistent. This is not something that will happen overnight where you'll be like, oh my God. Uh, as you said, after a month, you started to see changes, and yeah, it takes time to modulate the microbiome. Now, have you had any follow-up appointments with anyone that has previously seen him in regards to, mainstream physicians at all, or you gave up on that?
I have not. Honestly, I've kind of given up on that. And I've realized too, a lot of these mainstream physicians aren't very open-minded. I'll talk about other alternative protocols and they just kind of brush it off. They're like, oh, okay, whatever. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, um, that sounds great. I mean, inspired by your story, thank God that he responded. One question I had earlier, I didn't want to interrupt you. When you said he was sick, did he have a fever? When you started to see the changes, when, he said he was sick and then he never kind of returned back to baseline. Did he have a fever during that time?
I think he had a low grade one, if I remember correctly. It didn't last too long, but I
There we go. Sorry, there was a quick interruption here. We were talking about, my question was if he developed a fever during that time before his regression.
yeah, I think he did have a low grade fever. It didn't last very long, from what I recall, but there was definitely, yeah, a low grade fever.
I mean, for sure, not enough for you to be like, oh my God, I need to take him in. We
Yeah,
kept him like probably all of us would have, kept him at home, support him.
yeah.
Okay, very good. Anything else you would like to add in regards to your experience on your journey, finding something that worked, it seems, out of the mainstream medical world?
Um, I just so happy with, the progress that we've seen in Theo so far. And yeah, I recommend, parents get the chance, definitely give it a try. And the healing path, it's not linear. There's going to be some rocky, back steps here and there, but just stay persistent and, hope 30 to 60 days you'll start to notice some improvements. So, yes, thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to you, Henry and Peter, for not giving up, even when mainstream medicine says, sorry, that's all we can do. You kept looking, you felt, you know, intuitively, I would say that more can be done, and you didn't give up and you got rewarded. So hopefully we maybe have another follow-up maybe in a year or so to see where you are with Theo. But yeah, God bless you for all that you have done, and I'm looking forward to continuing to be involved in his care.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm happy to sync up whenever.
All
Appreciate
right. Well, thank you, and thank you, Peter. I know he's there.
Welcome. Thank you.
Take care.